Panel is back with us talking about this Somali takeover in Minneapolis that Democrats don't want to talk about because it's a really bad story for Democrats. Joining us now for more, host of the Ben Ferguson Show, Ben Ferguson, Democratic strategist and attorney Bill Caruso, former White House press office chief of staff Yemisi Egbawali, and political commentator Brilyn Hollyhand. It's great to have you all back on. So Ilhan Omar has been accused of marrying her brother and committing immigration fraud to get him into this country. And I know everybody says that tongue-in-cheek, like she's a member of Congress, we're not supposed to talk about this. Look, she changed her Twitter profile photo today to she and her now husband, who's a white man, by the way. Does the DOJ need to legitimately investigate that?
If there is real evidence to show that that is a real possibility, of course, because if you're a member of Congress, you should not get a free pass because you're a member of Congress. And what I'm so sick of, and what Trump voters are so sick of and why he got elected, is the double standard. You go after and politicize and weaponize the DOJ to go after your political enemies. But when there's actual crimes, whether it's a senator who's got gold bars in his jacket, or what we're seeing with Waltz, or what we're hearing with AOC, like, go after and look at it regardless of party. If you're committing crimes, a Republican, I want you to go to jail.
Yeah.
If you're a Democrat,
hey, Ben,
I want you to go to jail.
Let's see if Trump pardons Gold Bar Bob Menendez. He seems to have a penchant for these things. But guys, here's the issue. Let's go after the bad actors, right? It's not all members of Congress. It's not all Democrats. If Ilhan Omar did something wrong, go get it. And by the way, same thing with the Somali population. This is why I think we're missing the mark here. For the president attacking an entire population of people, some of whom are hardworking Americans now that have migrated here, by the way, not because they hate their former country, because America's a great country, has a better life. But why lump everyone into the same bucket? Go get the bad actors, these fraudulent people that.
Well, Bill, that's what we're trying to.
Let's go get them.
That's what we're trying to do.
Start with the governor.
That's what we're trying to do. But the messaging from Democrats is that, you know, the Somali American community, or these Somalian refugees, whatever you want to call them, Somalia is a hellhole without a government. They use child soldiers in Somalia. The average annual salary of a Somalian is $592. Yet Ilhan Omar does nothing but run down America and Americans. And I think a lot of Americans, Brilyn, have a problem with that. Do you think, Brilyn, it is Islamophobic to have conversations like this? Because that's exactly the accusation that we're going to get tomorrow morning.
No, not at all. And Rob, people go through such great lengths to come to the freedom here in America. They build rafts out of garbage to row themselves to America. They marry their brother, like Ilhan Omar did, just to get into America. Yet the second they get here, they chant death to America. We have to stop allowing people that hate our country to come into our country. We have enough of those. That's the entire Democrat Party. We need to get back to the society here of saying we should have people in this country who want to love America and give back to America. And this entire conversation of saying that these people are victims for breaking our law, for breaking into our country, they're not victims at all. They are illegals and they should be taken out. And that shouldn't be a conversation that we should even be having. That should be across the board. It's plaguing our society. Rob, it's like somebody from New York fleeing the communism of Mondani, going down to Florida, sitting in the sunshine, say, but trying to tell Ron DeSantis how to run a state. You can't do it.
It could happen New Year's Day. Yemisi, this is the other part of the conversation that I don't think is happening often enough or at all. Certainly not on the rest of, you know, the mainstream media, not on MS Now or CNN. But the mayor of a city in the Midwest, and I lived in the Midwest for a couple of years. This is America's heartland. The mayor of this city is now speaking to residents in a foreign language, in this case in Somalian. Take a look.
To our Somali community. Daman Shabka, Somalied Kunul, Minnesota Garahan, Minneapolis, Waan Ku Janila Hai, Waan Ku Gereb Taganahan.
Yemisi, in a country where English is definitely the official language, is that appropriate?
I think politics is local. I've seen the mayor of Miami speak to residents in Spanish. Look, we just watched a special election where a woman ran for Nashville and said that she didn't like country music. Sometimes I think you just have to give a little hat tip to the culture that exists within the city.
Ben, is that appropriate? By the way, that candidate lost by 9 points. Blowout in Tennessee.
Look, this is pandering 101, and this actually explains the Democratic Party and what's going on in Minneapolis and why they've lost control. This is why Tim Waltz will not stand up when there's a fraud and 400 whistleblowers have to come forward to say how big the fraud is, because they're so afraid of alienating a massive community that they would rather pander and look the other way when there's corruption or fraud or abuse of the system and stealing of tax dollars going to a terrorist organization.
I'm just saying it should be okay to have a conversation about the Somali community in Minnesota. They're fleecing taxpayers of all colors of $1 billion. That's the accusation. And it doesn't, to me, sound like they're net contributors to the Minnesota economy
and
right now.
And it's going to terrorists. Like, that's been
and it's
lost
going
in all that.
to a terrorist organization.
It's two
Bill, we've got to leave it there.
It's not the entire Somali community. There's bad actors there, and we should be talking about
Bill,
it.
Bill, I know there are good Somalian people here in America. That's not the point we're making. But when something like this happens, it's important to call out what happened and not try to immediately blame Donald Trump for something he had nothing to do with.
We agree.
Ben Ferguson, Yemisi Egbawali, Bill Caruso, Brilyn Hollyhand, great to see you tonight. Thanks for being here.
Good to see you.
Thanks for having us.
All right.